こんな世界だからこそ全部守る夢を追わなきゃ。僕も仲間も。
Hey everyone, Ink here. Sabin versus the Devs Transcendence Edition. I'm doing voiceover way later because I've just been really busy with troop work and with real life work and just other stuff. But I wanted to give some general thoughts on Sabin. And sort of, it's been 2 months now that I've been using him in every single event. And the fact that I got him through Transcendence and he played such a valuable role on both teams. That it was a lot of fun. It took a bunch of resets to do a lot of these because there's some RNG involved in both fights. But I wanted to go through just some general thoughts I had on him and also just these fights. I mean, this fight was particularly difficult because you needed the enemies to debuff you so that you could cleanse the debuffs, but only the main boss would actually inflict debuffs every turn, and the ads would only do it on their recast, so it made it a little tricky to manage the orb. That's why I take occasionally extra turns I just leave the debuff there if I can afford it, and just wait until the orb gets really low and then boost it. Sabin uses Aura Cannon for most of the fight because, well, we don't want to delay the enemy. I would have probably rather had him on the right side, but you saw I used Vaughn, Trey, and Setzer there. And I was more just working on an insurance policy in case I couldn't get Sabin through the middle. Like if I was really struggling, because I heard that the middle was awful and really difficult. And so I didn't want to potentially put myself in a position where I'd have to re-clear the left or right, which, God, I hate doing that. So, I wanted to do the Mog run, like Unimog Sabin. Mog was dealing 300 to 500k damage per turn on the team. It was pretty incredible, actually. With 3 targets and 1 boss, he performs amazing. But yeah, I had to grab Tifa, which I'm A-okay with. There's no point in saving people for Transcendence, right? The Transcendence is always built around recent units. I guess the only thing you should consider is if they get a BT in the future, then you might not want to use them. Tifa will probably get one, but honestly, who knows where the JP game is going right now. But anyway, Sabin kicks ass in this fight. Just all the single target damage. The important thing here is that when you look at Yuna's, the battery she gives, she's about to give more once they fix the Brave gain stuff. She'll get more battery, which will be really cool. Because every time she hits an enemy, she'll give battery, which will be nice. But you'll notice her battery effects aren't as powerful as Sabin's. She won't top off Tifa. If Tifa's at 0 and Yuna goes, that was crap, by the way. That miss, I hate that. I should have used an AA, but anyway, which is what I did there. Sabin really showcases how much he can do here. Stay alive, Yuna. Hang in there, girl. Hence the summon. Sabin really shows off how much he can do, topping Tifa up 94k, popping her to max Brave. Yuna never does that, and so his battery skills with Tifa and in the next run with Vaughn is just friggin' stellar. It's amazing how much he's able to provide to the party. I'm super impressed. When he got his LD, of course I'm biased, but I'm I can't wait. This is going to be a lot of fun. I can run him again, but we'll see how much I can actually run him. And I was worried about the fact that Razor Gale delayed only and Aura Cannon only batteried, but when it comes down to it, there are utilities in his kit, and I've found through playing him constantly for a couple months now that, God, it doesn't matter. There's usually a clear superior choice in fights, whether you want to delay or you want you need breathing room, or you need AoE shaving. I thought it was really cool that they're also like in these fights. I think especially the next wave. I want to get to the next wave because the next wave is so much, or sorry, the next fight is like so much fun. Yeah, I spend way too much time thinking and counting turns here with the orb, which is why I didn't want to specifically, what do you call it? Just use a commentary that I had from this, because those commentaries are pretty boring, and this is way more interesting. Man, I still have Uniburst. But anyway, yeah, these teams don't showcase Una that well. I'll say that much. She's good, and I like her a lot. She's one of my favorites. FF10 is in my top games for Final Fantasy, along with 6 and 8 and 7 Remake. The fact that Sabin complements Tifa and Yuna equally, he shaves like nobody can in the game outside maybe X-Death. The fact that he has the utility to delay, that he can battery, it lends itself to having a lot of different choices in the fight, which is really fun. I've thoroughly enjoyed using him, and I think he's way better than I even thought he was when he came out. It's great. I'm also just surprised. I wasn't expecting to. I was gonna save him for like the last Transcendence. Like I have him in Entropy 19 with just his EX Plus, and I was glad to run him in 19 versus any of the earlier tiers that are way power crept by then. I mean, 19 also is sort of power crept, but I liked having him in 19 even with his EX Plus. So it was super cool to just... I heard 4 was going to be one of the hardest, and I figured, why not? Let me just throw him in here. It's supposed to be punishing. Let's just do it. Tifa really, like, clobbered it at the end. But, yeah, let's go to Team 2, which we're swapping out Tifa for Vaughn. And... this fight I want to talk about, like just how Sabin works in it. So again, you'll see when Yuna does her skills that she doesn't always give Vaughn later in the battle. She doesn't give him that much battery, whereas Sabin always tops him off. And it means that even though Vaughn's not dealing that much brave damage all the time, he's still dealing a lot of damage because of his brave gains based off of HP damage dealt. I pretty much intertwine Aura Cannon and Razor Gale because you don't want to give these... You can't take 10 turns, otherwise they reduce all their damage to 0. And that's pretty annoying. So you'll see me weave them in and delay only when I need to. It's great because I can delay giving time for Vaughn to blind the horses. I do have a Warrior of Light call, but I ideally don't necessarily want to use it if I can help it. I'd rather rely on the RNG, the RNG of blind from Vaughn, which is super, super good. So yeah, you can see I nailed blind on both of them. And that makes these AoE hits like way more tolerable. His EX is dealing so much damage, but you can see like this just so much less damage being dealt to the team when these guys are blinded. What I love is that Vaughn can barely shave anything like toward the end of the next wave that you'll see. And Sabin having access to his LD, Tiger Break, he can shred through anything. It's amazing. Super satisfying. And yeah, I end up... I realized with this team comp without a support and like all my calls loaded up on Yuna for when she was going to burst, she wasn't dealing much damage. She was dealing like 1.5 million. And so I instead planned around doing Vaughn's burst because I figured he would be able to pound out more damage. And the important thing was less about the BT effect and way more about just damage output, raw damage output. That's what I needed and wanted. Which is cool. This wave isn't... I mean, these horses are like my nemesis. I love beating up these horses with Sabin, but this was one of my hardest Sabin sagas when I did the Vayne horses, Vayne Lost chapter, and I did Paladin Cecil, Sabin, and Yuri. That made me hate Yuri forever, that fight. But you can see they're not blinded now, and Vaughn is sort of behind the 30k. And so I'd rather be safe and just use my Shining Shield. Let's just play it as safe as possible. Sabin will shave that down. That's not a problem. But in this case, I don't have to use like an AoE attack. I can just use my EX and it's fine. Yeah, Sabin complements these guys super well. And oh man, I was so satisfied to get through this damn Transcendence with Sabin, and it wasn't even that stressful. I actually had so much fun with these fights, like to an incredible amount. Way more fun than, this is probably some of the most fun I've had in the game in quite some time. I had fun with Equinox, certainly, but this is like much more challenging, whereas Equinox was just fun content. This was way more about just like challenging myself with a really difficult quest that wasn't bullshit either, right? Like I feel like we've faced fights before where it's the people talk about game design improperly usually, but where the fights are sort of, they corner you. You can see I didn't need a reset. I reset the first wave a few times, but honestly, as soon as I made sure that I set up for Vaughn's BT phase, that is what was, I never needed to reset again. But there's a lot of really important timing here. There's a lot of leveraging Yuna's last stand to avoid shaving, because Vaughn can't shave and Yuna can't shave. They might look like they can shave now, but as the bosses go down in health, Sabin's the only one that can shave. It's really important to blind them for their all attack, just because I don't have Yuffie on the team. I don't have Setzer or anybody that can mitigate their Brave gain. And so I've got to blind them and trust that they miss that on some of the characters with that all attack, because otherwise they'll delay everybody, gain 30k Brave, and clock me. So, yeah, like I'm doing here. This was a sketchy part of the run, clearly. I don't even know what I did here, jeez. Because, yeah, oh, they're blinded. Yeah, that's right. So that guy, I can trust Yuna's last stand, but that one was RNG. I had to hope that the blind, it's 60% chance to miss, 10% from his board, from summon boards, and 50% from blind. But I wanted a burst with Vaughn specifically when Kurisame's debuff was at 5 on both, and you'll notice under Sabin, I still have the enchant effect from Kurisame. Now, while that's not useful, you can see I sort of messed up and I ran out of white whirls, and I just went with red spirals, but they're dealing a lot of damage because of the Kurisame call. And it also means that this attack deals way more damage. If you're not enchanting his BT attack, it deals nothing. So that was really important that I timed it just perfectly with 5 stacks on both enemies. He ended up dealing a ton of damage. You got to really time around when they do these Brave gains, because right now they've got these fat shields that you I guess they don't have shields right now, but when they do have the shields, you have to like get rid of the shield and the Brave, and yeah, we need Sabin for that. Yeah, red spiral has to get used at some point. I'm just glad I wasn't forced to use Vaughn's EX at all in this run, because that's the true sign of a run going off the rails. Yeah, so you can see they're going nuts, and I'm getting lucky. With either missing attacks or Yuna taking last stand. I had to plan all of that out. I did some concerted things, or risks, I should say, concerted risks. But, one important thing I guess I should call out is that I used a lot of Yuna's skills specifically just to Brave gain. Like, if she wasn't going to deal a lot of damage, then I would just pop an Asuna. We're in summon, so I'm not going to waste that now. But if her Brave isn't that high, by the way, shout out to Sabin's Brave being the highest on the team. That's awesome. But yeah, if she's not going to be able to do much, then I'll cheer or do whatever. Cheer is mostly for healing, but I wanted to make sure that she was dealing as much damage as possible, and this is the perfect time for a Tiger Break. Literally just wreck through shields and the Brave. 70k Brave is no more. Sabin is a master at just even with minimal support. You can see how much Brave damage Vaughn is doing. Yuna's doing ones. Sabin, we've got 24k on each. He cuts through it, and you look at the Brave damage that Vaughn is doing, if you can see it. I'm like trying to eke out every ounce of damage that I can. And just Brave gaining and stuff. But yeah, you can sort of see, like, he just dealt 92, right? With all those Brave gains that he has, he's not dealing that much Brave damage. Yuna can't deal anything. Really, Sabin is carrying this last half to make sure the team can keep hitting. Yeah, like, he couldn't even shave 7k. Like, Vaughn couldn't. I'll probably use Warrior of Light LD call at some point, because I still have it. But this is another time when I want to shave, and he's just so damn good. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Right now, the state of the game, and I'll talk about this in my next video, but I'm loving using Sabin right now. I'm not worried for Lufenia Plus. I feel like I have the tools to tackle it, as most people probably should feel. But man, it's great to be able to use my favorite and like puzzle my way through these fights without feeling frustrated. So I think normally you get frustrated. Vaughn's dealing double-digit Brave damage, like 49 damage. So yeah, I was considering finishing it with a Phantom Rush. I just couldn't guarantee that I didn't want to rely on that. I wanted to make sure I delayed, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the Sabin runs. It really showcased how strong Sabin is and what he's capable of, but thanks for watching, everyone, and